Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. Charu, and I am joined by my amazing friend, Pam HOUGHTELING. And
Hello.
hi, and we are celebrating the Being You month. And today is the day 19th, and all of the across the world, lovely facilitators have been talking about amazing questions. And today, our question is, what if you are your own best friend and treated yourself accordingly? So I'm going to ask Pam this question first. What is a friend to you?
Wow. Well, that's interesting because there's friend kind of the way I grew up knowing about it, and then there would be friend the way I take this question. So, because like if you, if you watch TV shows and read books and stuff like that, kind of in this everyday reality, friends can be people who treat you like shit. They can be, you know, they could be a contribution to you or maybe not. When I read this question of what if you were your best friend, I think of the friend that has your back, the friend that like is willing to give you space to choose what you choose and fail and still be there and contributing to you, and they're not trying to make you be a certain way and be what they want you to be. Like, so when you talk about that kind of friend, what if you were your own best friend? Honestly, the first thing I think of is where I'm not being that for myself. The kind of how harsh I can be to myself, and in ways that I would honestly never treat another person, but I don't think twice about, about doing it for me. And I know when you and I talked just a little bit before this live, and you said something very different. So I'm going to ask you, what if you were your best friend? Like, what is that to you?
Well, like you said, when I was a little kid, I had like probably 100 friends in school, and my mom used to be like, okay, like wherever we go, you have friends everywhere. But as I grew, like there was a point where even when I knew so many people, but there was no true friend that I was looking for, because every time like I wanted something in my life, there was like I had an expectation that my friend would do it and it wouldn't fulfill. And then I would just go in the, like I would snap or I would judge and I would just cut off from them. And then I would reach to a point where I would say, okay, I don't have true friends. And that's where the book Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane, he landed up for me 8 years back. And I started reading and I was like, all the things that I'm looking for outside from my so-called friends, absolutely those were the energies missing in my world for me. Like I would want to have fun with my friends, but every time I was alone, I was only sad, depressed, crying, and I just didn't want to be with myself. I just wanted to call up somebody and not spend time with myself. Or like I judged, like you said, I judged myself left, right, center. I never had my back. And from there, I started deconstructing like what energies of friend I'm looking for. And I started being those energies for myself. So recently I did a trip couple of months back, and I remember that I so wanted to do it with my friends. And I was like, wow, I'm still looking for a friend to say yes, and then I will make a choice rather than I want to go and I'm going to go. And I will use the tools like which we've learned in Access, like ask a question and you'll receive. What if I'm willing to receive new friends? And then that whole trip, every moment by moment, there were like so many people who had my back, who contributed. I had fun. And the whole definition of me being my own best friend started showing up like in the outer world also.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love that because I mean, if we can talk about where you're not being your own friend, that's what I notice. And then what you're talking about is where you really, like, it sounds like you have your back and you enjoy your own company. And, to me, part of a friend is someone to create with, right? Like it's like the people who I most love spending time with are people who are, we're both choosing what can we create in the world, what can we create in our lives, and we're sharing kind of what we're doing and ideas, and just really contributing to and supporting each other in that expansion and growth. And so, what if you're that for yourself? Like you said, you used to look to other people to provide some of this for you. And if you actually just don't wait for anybody and be that energy and that contribution for yourself, that there's someone in the world who's rooting for you because you are. Like, what does that create?
Yeah. And how is that for you, Pam? I wanted to ask, as we were also talking, like you are also a person who enjoys being on her own. And
Yeah.
and then like how it can be so judged and misidentified, misapplied as I don't like people, or I don't know how to engage or interact with people, whereas like I like my company. And how you spoke about creation, like what occurs in that moment when you're being with yourself?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go a little over to the side. It's interesting because my husband died about 7.5 years ago, and we were separated, right? We were best friends, separated, and yet, still huge change in the life for me and my kids. And the number of people who are waiting for me to find someone else, like that is kind of not okay for me to really enjoy living by myself and be completely happy and stuff. So there's this like expectation in the world that you need other people, and that if you don't have someone else around, you're lonely. So it's like I'm aware of that stuff, but I don't have to buy into it, because I've gone through huge phases of time where, now I will say, the work I do, I'm talking to people all day long, right? Like a lot of it's over Zoom, but I'm interacting with people. But like I have the work I do, and I travel, and I might go a lot of time without kind of socializing with people in the town where I live. And I'm completely okay with that. It's like, if I'm with you, I enjoy you. And if I'm not with you, I'm enjoying myself. So there's something about being able to, I think when you're being your own friend and you have your back that way, it can carry you through whatever's going on and whatever the situation is, whether it's delays at the airport. Well, I don't have to be like, oh, stress and blah, blah. So like, okay, cool. I'm here with me. What would I enjoy doing? And, or whether it's, major life crises or just an everyday day, when you are your own friend, you're not alone. I don't know. It's like whatever people think alone is, um, when you're there for yourself and you're choosing things that work for you and create your life, you can enjoy other people, but you don't need other people. And you can enjoy what's going on, or you can adapt and handle whatever is going on that's not working for you. It's just like this base of operations that, to me, makes everything flow more easily.
Yeah. And with all of that, like for me, the whole 5 elements of intimacy that we do talk about, um, like I would want my friend to trust me when I say something, or have allowance for if I've made some mistake in my life, like just have allowance. Don't tell me that, okay, you did the mistake and you should have known it better and all of it. Or just have an honest conversation with me. Like so much of that I started having with myself, like what conversations you're having with your own self.
Yeah.
For me, that became very important. Like when I'm alone, am I saying that I'm so lonely and there's nobody and I need somebody?
Yeah.
And or I'm saying, oh wow, I have the time and space. Okay, what can I be here? What can I create? Or watch my thoughts and have allowance for it. Like what element I was engaging with has become so much more important for me. So like we do talk about the five elements like trust, honor, gratitude, allowance, vulnerability. So which is the element I can engage with today for me to be my own best friend? And treat me then accordingly, like treat myself with honor and regard. Okay, I did something, and can I just be okay with it, have allowance for it, and then choose something else from here?
Yeah. Well, I've heard Simone Milasas talk about this for years in classes, that she actually took a Post-it note, put the 5 elements of intimacy on it, and put it on the bathroom mirror. And finally, I heard it one time and I was like, I'm going to do that. And I did. So it's sitting there right now. And to just like, walk in to brush my hair or whatever I'm doing and just go, oh yeah, what if I have these with me? And to just bring that into my awareness. And so I'd say that's part of being your own friend is noticing like, okay, hey, here are some areas where I'm being harder on myself and I maybe not being a very good friend to myself, and asking, what can I do to change this? Like, what can I be with myself that I've never allowed myself to be? Like, just as I ask that, like, get that space. And you can ask a question like that and you don't have to get an answer. It's not like, oh, now I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna do that. It's what can I be that would be kinder to me? What can I be to be my own friend? What can I be to contribute to myself and have my own back? And then you just let that space be there and you go about your day and you start noticing things that match that energy. For me, it was putting these Post-its on. And I even like when my house cleaners come, I'm like, oh, they're going to think I'm crazy. And I stick it in the drawer and then I put it back, but I'm like, every time I do that, I'm engaging with it and engaging with those energies and myself. So what can you do today to start engaging with yourself as your own friend?
And for me, like adding to that, I started asking, what can I be that I expected others to be for me?
Yes. Yes.
And it was so easy for me to identify. Like I would go through an upset, oh, I didn't expect my friend to do this. And then I would catch hold of myself, like, oh, there's an expectation. And would I have that expectation from myself? And if I didn't fulfill that expectation, then how would I treat myself? And
Yeah.
then I started asking, like, what can you be with yourself that you expected others to be for you?
Yeah. Well, and along those lines, I mean, I find when I'm facilitating, and especially because I'm often facilitating a facilitator, right? Someone who's also a facilitator. And, and they'll be like saying all this stuff, well, judgment about themselves and stuff. And I'll say, well, if you were facilitating yourself, what would you be? And if you were facilitating yourself, what would you ask? And they go, oh, I'm being kind of hard on myself. And it just shifts it. So, if you were sitting over here and you had what you have going on and you were going to contribute, what would you be for yourself? And what if you can be that anytime, any moment, instantaneously? It's just the choice to notice it, like to notice, oh, I'm being kind of hard on myself. What else could I be with this right now? Or, hey, I have some space to myself, loving this. What can I create? What can I be now?
Did all of this come to you naturally? Or did you
Oh,
have to do
yeah.
like a lot of work in presence and writing post-its? How did that come to you?
You'll be surprised by this. I was a depressed, anxious, suicidal teenager, and I
Me
spent
too.
decades, kind of doing therapy and like all this stuff to become someone who to be comfortable with myself and enjoy myself and have gratitude for myself. So when I got introduced to access tools, I wasn't in a funk of self-misery, like I'd kind of gone beyond that. But I also noticed, like, with these tools, things that had taken me honestly 20 years in therapy to budge just melted overnight. And so it's like I got introduced at a very young age to the idea of actually looking at myself and what's my reality, because I was very much, I'll do and be anything anyone around me wants, so they'll take care of me. Like, that was my thing. So for me, it's been just like a long process of really trusting myself and trusting that I know, and that if I follow that knowing, things create. Because way before I got introduced to access, I've had times in my life where, it's kind of like the jump off a cliff moment where I could take a big step in a different direction, and I didn't have the words for it then, but I was asking questions and following the energy. And so yeah, to me, it's been like a slow unfolding of who am I, who do I, what's my being, and being me in the world. And then every tool I've encountered along the way has contributed to that. And then what I also noticed is, especially when I got introduced to access tools, some areas of my life I'm ready to change just like that. And some I like hold on to, oh, I got to get this right. Like, parenting is one of my, I'd say it's my Achilles heel, where I'm most likely to go into judgment of me and be right. And like, now it's so much better than it was 10 years ago because I have I use the tools every day, and I start to go into stuff, and I can shift out of it by using the tools in the Being You book. But it's always that. I mean, we always, I think, have something where we're going into contraction or, being less than us. But then there's always the possibility of using a tool and shifting it. How about you? Like, how was that transformation for you?
As I heard you, I was like, yes, that's true. Like, it's the country that I come from. Like, we are so into socializing, family, extended family, that everything is about everybody outside of us. Family is super important. Not that I'm saying exclude the family, but it was only about family. And then you got to get married, and you're a girl, and you're supposed to please everybody. If you
Yeah.
do anything besides not pleasing them, like, you're out of the family. And then you do it all, and then still nothing would work out, and you'll be like, okay, what's going on really here? So as you said, like, for me also, it was first was the choice that, okay, whatever has been taught to me, I've done it well and it's not working, so I need to teach myself something different. The one thing that remains constant is I'll do it well because I'm the constant in this, but I need to teach myself something different. The things that have been taught are not working. So every day I had to choose and see, okay, this works and this is not working. Until today, I so remember every time when I choose me, and the most difficult areas that are not changing starts changing. And I remember Gary saying, like, you got to choose you and the world will change. And
Yeah.
then Dane, the title, okay, be you and change the world that has not changed. Like, but you got to be that motivational friend to yourself. You got to have your own back. You got to like, how I would expect, I'm surrounded by a lot of friends, and I
Mhm.
would always want them, like, if I fall back, like, check on me. If I do not fulfill the things that you expect me to, like, just be okay with it. So I had to start every day being those energies for myself. So today when I look back, like, it's been a journey. It's not been a one day choice. It's
Yeah.
been a constant. And there have been many times, many days when it's not fallen in place, like following your knowing, and then it has not turned out to be the way I was expecting it. And then how I would, like, my friendships would last for 3 years maximum, and I would just break up after that. And now the friendships that are lasting are like much longer, because every time it didn't show up the way I expected it, I would break up with my friends.
Right.
And here I was like, okay, it didn't show up. So initially the days where I would break up with myself, and then I had to do the patch up, and I had to do, okay, fine, it didn't work out. Okay, how do we move forward from here? So one of the questions that has been really working for me around the friendships is, okay, how can I make it work? How
Yeah.
can we make it work? And be it with my friends outside, and be it me being my own friend. Okay, it didn't work out. Clearly, Charu, how are you going to make it work now?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that has been really expanding my life with these questions. And I call like Being You Changing the World book as my Bible, because
Yeah.
it is that, like, anytime I get stuck, I would just randomly open the page, and that's it. Like, that's where it's required. That tool is what is required for me to like go deeper and work. And one
Yeah.
of the things that was really missing was this caring bit, because I saw myself becoming that um, young adult who went into like deep reaction of I don't care, like get
Yeah.
lost or
Rejection.
and I would come back in my room and cry, like, and I would observe myself when I really don't care. Why am I even crying? And that is where, like, how beautifully caring has been explained. And that changed my whole world. Like, okay, that's available.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that the question was like, if you treated yourself that way, like if you were your own best friend, I started caring for myself more. I started including me in so many choices. Like, yes, family is there, yes, everybody is there, but it's okay to choose me and
Yeah.
see how everything starts falling in place.
Well, and I want to pick up on one of the things you said, which is I think so often people think, well, if I'm going to choose me and I'm going to be my best friend and have my back, that means I'm excluding everyone else. And that's not the case at all, right? It's like when you include you, you can actually include everyone. You know, when you started being your own friend, you started being able to have friendships that were durable, right? That could last through whatever's going on. It's like when we have our own back and have our that sense of who I am in the world and I'm being, it includes everyone. So you're able to make choices that create greater, not just for you, but across the board. And so that's one of the things that I've found is not true that the world says, which is to actually consider you means you're being selfish, you're not considering everybody else. But no, it's like if you leave you out, you're like you're depriving the world of you and the contribution you are and the awareness you bring to things and the fun you can bring. Like it's yeah. So
I say that, like, if you exclude you, you're like dead man with just like a dead body
yeah,
walking on earth. Like, it has no life. But
yeah,
as you start including you, like, there's so much life that we include in our lives
yeah,
that just expands and exudes that energy, that how would you want your friends to be?
yeah,
And this has been like, I was so glad the question that was put for us to take on today's day was, I was like, well, I know this energy of like, what if you are your own best friend? That is where I've every day worked on. Okay, I'm gonna, like, as I said, I had so many friends outside, but there were some pockets every day where I
yeah,
would be alone. I would not have like, oh, but I don't have friends. But they were all there. Like, logically, everyone
yeah,
was there. Still, like, something was missing. And as I kept going, I remember in one of the classes, Dane gave the clearing on vulnerability, and I started demanding from myself, I'm going to be very, very vulnerable with myself, which
yeah,
is like being truly honest with myself, what's really going on. And that has also changed like so much more, including me with me. Okay, fine, this is what
Yeah.
it is, and I'm not going to judge it. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I am going through this judgment or this jealousy or this lack, or
Yeah.
I messed it up, or I made a wrong choice. Now what?
Yeah.
And
And keep
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we're at the end of our time. So thank you everyone for being here, and keep coming on these lives, and we have the grand finale on June 22nd. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, it's free, but you do need to sign up. I'm sure they're going to post in the thread that you can see how to go sign up and get your ticket for Dane's big thing on June 22nd.
Yes, and it's being you, Dave. Welcome yourself to this energy and see how life expands.
Yes. Well,
Thank you,
thanks everybody.
everybody.